Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Let me share this a little bit. All right, we in the building. We in the building. We in the building. We about to teach it like it's supposed to be taught. Give me 1 second. Hold this down real quick. Can y'all hear me? Brother Kenzie Bay, can you hear me? Press 7 if y'all can hear me. Let me organize, get myself organized a little bit. Can you hear me? Press 7 if you can hear me. We about to get right. Can't let my mic fall. My mic act like it won't fall. We ain't gonna let that happen. All right, check 1 2, check 1 2. Y'all can hear me. So again, welcome to Moorish World TV Channel 7, where we try to answer all the questions that is asked by Moorish Americans, known and unknown, and average everyday people alike. There's a lot of information on the Moorish Science Temple of America that is a lot of misinformation. It's a lot of bad misinformation. In fact, I'm going to give it to you just like it is. It's garbage. All right? It's garbage. And due to this misunderstanding of all the misinformation of the Moorish Science Temple of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, I consider myself the first in history of the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali to come and give a clear clarification as to what the prophets stand for. I'm not tripping off those who's going to get mad and say, who he think he is? I don't step up and test the information. It doesn't make me no bit of difference because the Moorish Science Temple of America has been around far too long to be taken as some secondhand, Johnny-come-lately, ineffective organization as it relates to liberation for our people. And so all of these people that may have something to say about the stance and what I'm taking to represent the teachings of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, they have failed miserably to do the same. You see, they allowed the Taj Tariq Bays to flourish for over 30 years. They continue to allow the C. Cannon Bays, the Elihu Pleasant Bays, the Mark Richies, the R.V. Bays. They continue to do that. You follow what I'm saying? And so when they continue to do that, you follow me? Somebody on the background. Hold on 1 second.
You're muted.
Let me send them the link.
All right. Yeah, actually, he is streaming on Moorish World TV channel.
Let me exit out here. I'm gonna leave here
right now.
So you know what I mean? They continue to allow even the new groups, they continue to allow them to come forth, make claims, and lie on the teachings of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. They continue to do that. And so it doesn't make me no bit of difference. Get mad. Get mad all you want. Because we're going to tell the truth today. So here on Facebook, I would implore you to check us out on Moorish World TV 7. And if anybody is on Facebook who's in Moorish World TV 7, matter of fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a link in here. I'm going to put a link in here so everybody can get it. You follow what I'm saying? I'm going to put a link in here so everyone can get it. There we go. And then we're going to get started. So let me do that real quick because it's very important that we clarify and rectify all of these lies, all of these Moorish, supposedly Moorish scholars, and man, listen, I'm over it. I mean, I'm over it. I'm not taking none of this madness. 1 second. I'm not taking taking none of this. I'm trying to be nice. Let me just put this link in there. So if you are, I just put the link here on Facebook. If you are over on Facebook, because I'm not going to keep this feed too long, but we're gonna break it on down. So with that being said, you know what I mean? I came off of yesterday of a beautiful demonstration with the Annapolis LOC Family Fun Day. Man, I was broke up. It was hot out that demonstration. Good goodness gracious, you hear me? It was hot out that demonstration. Man, but I'm back. Yasmin in the building. Paige L in the building. So this one is going to get a few people mad. I asked Moorish Americans to share this. I asked you to share this because I'm going to give you some information. Now, a brother asked me a question. A brother asked me a very specific question. He asked me, he said, how do you proclaim your free national name? And when you look at these Moorish people around this Moorish diaspora, they would lie to people and tell people that a free national name, and for those who are just entering into this knowledge, I'm going to be very detailed, very basic, and very specific. For the more advanced, I'm also going to pull back some layers. So let me tell you something. With people on the internet for years have been claiming to be a free national name. People on the internet, Taj Tariq Bey and other groups claim to represent Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who you see right behind me. They claim that a free national name is a Bey or L, as you see on my name, Brother Tahaka Bey. Some would even refer to Tahaka as a free national name. That's not a free national name. It doesn't make sense. It never have made sense. And nobody did the research to correct what a free national name is as it associates with the teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Now, people can name a free national name what they want to, but it cannot be affiliated with Prophet Noble Drew Ali unless you can verify the teachings with Prophet Noble Drew Ali, what somebody is talking about. So what I'm going to do today, I'm going to verify by showing you what the prophet is talking about. Many people might don't like it. Many people might don't understand it, but that doesn't change the fact of the matter. So what is a free national name? A free national name is a name that's associated with the root word of national, nation. So you take off nation, you take off the AL off of national and you get nation. So we're talking about the free nation name. What is the free nation name? That's very basic. Now I'm going to read something associated with Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Why do people always want to put emphasis on that free national name? Because many people have been victimized and traumatized by reading the history and experiencing the oppression of the system of the United States of America under the leadership of European leaders. And so when they think of free national name, taught by a person that is dressed in turban, that's dressed in fez, that's dressed in priestly robes, they think that it disassociates them from what we know as the United States of America, which that's not the case, according to the guy who is dressed in a fez, a priestly robe, and who is dressed according to what we know, the dress of our ancestors. That's not what it is. So family, if you're over here on Facebook, I'm going to be going on some slides. So I got to stop here so you can get over here on Moorish World TV 7. The link is in the link is in the comment section. Peace and love. Let's get busy. So I had to stop there on Facebook so I can focus, so I can't look back and forth. So Kinsey Bay said, free Moorish national nation American. Can't be a Moorish American and not be American. Absolutely. Now let's break that down a bit. Because this question was given to me by a brother. He's not on the show, but he gave me these questions, and I'm thinking that he's a part of a Moorish group. And he says that, now I'm gonna read the whole thing to you real quick. He says that, I have a question. When the prophet tells us to proclaim our free national name to be recognized by the government in which we live, the government in which we live, how is that actually done? I heard many different things. All right. This is what he said. In fact, let me get the whole question real quick. Let me get the whole question just so I can give you real context. Let me get the whole question real quick. All right. Here's the whole question. I'm going to give y'all the whole question right quick so we can give it some context. And mind you, no shade on the administration that the brother is in, but the administration that the brother is in, it seems to me, are unable to answer what I consider to be a kind of a basic question, because many administrations are working their own agendas. They're not working the agenda of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So if you ask me, I got to tell you the truth. You know what I'm saying? Many of these organizations are not working the agenda of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. They're working their own agenda and coming up with their own stuff, and they're keeping people lost. They're keeping people in the same situation that they were from the first time that they joined. You know what I'm saying? But that ain't what we try to do here. What we try to do is wake people up to something that's real, practical, and useful in life. So here we go. 1 second. Give me 1 second. I want to get this last question. Be patient with me. Be patient with me. Let me get this last question copied and paste real quick. And this is so everybody can learn. So I appreciate the brother for even coming forth and asking this question. You know what I mean? But I'm going to tell you, after these questions are answered, what do you do then? Do you subscribe to the truth, or do you try to change those who have been falsifying the lies? What do you do? What do you do? I say subscribe to the truth. Now, here we go. Let's get busy. I got it now. So he said, I have a question. When the prophet tells us we must proclaim our free national name to be recognized by the government in which we live, how is it actually done? I think you mean to say, how is it actually done? I heard many different things. I wanted to ask the question last night, but I was working because it was a live stream that I was doing, while listening to some say you have to take a test for citizenship. Some say when you come through the flags, the question is, how do we remove black from our records? Or is that even possible? I've been getting the runaround from this question. And mind you that this brother is a part of some Moorish administration. Now, I'm going to answer this, and then I'm going to clarify my answers with Prophet Noble Drew Ali. First of all, I have a question. The prophet tells us we must proclaim our free national name to be recognized by the government. Your free national name, whether you are in the Moorish Science Temple of America or not, is American. Why? Because you are born under the governmental structure of the American government. Now, there is one way you can change that. There's a process called expatriation, where you file some paperwork with your local or national government and tell them that you would like to expatriate. That means you don't want to be a citizen of the United States. There's a legal process in that. If you do not follow that process, your national name as status being a citizen is American. No matter how bad you feel about this country, no matter how many flags you burn, no matter how many Europeans you call crackers, no matter what you say, it doesn't matter until you legally expatriate your national name and free national name that is represented by the free national Constitution of the United States of America is American. I give you an example. What's the sister who's locked up in Russia right now? Huh? What's the sister locked up in Russia right now? I know her name. Huh? Brittany. Y'all know Brittany? Brittany Griner, whatever her name is. Brittany Griner. Y'all know her? Huh? You can talk all of that stuff you want. But right now, Brittany is happy to be an American citizen. You know why? Because if she would have expatriated, there is no representation for her to get out of Russian prison. Did y'all hear what I just said? There is no representation for her. You may not like the government. You may dislike the European. However, in order for her to get representation to get out of Russian prison, they are about to trade a Russian prisoner in America for her release from Russia. That's the value of citizenship. And she goes by the term Negro, black, colored, mulatto, or whatever. Do you hear what I say? That's the value of citizenship. So when people say, I'm not a citizen of the United States, I'm not a citizen, etc., you are a fool. Because at the end of the day, there are people in China that come over here to have babies so the babies can be citizens. There are Mexicans and Spanish-speaking Asiatic south of the border. They come and jump the fence and have children, and the children become citizens, and they reap the benefits of their citizenship. Any brother that look like us, tell us don't participate in politics, tell us don't participate in citizenship. These people trying to keep us in slavery, because all people around the world understand the Republican process of gaining and maintaining control as it relates to being a citizen. Anybody tell us don't participate in politics, anybody tell us we're not citizens, I'm telling you, these people want to see you powerless. I don't care what religious organization, I don't care what social organization, I don't care what Pan-African organization, they want to see you powerless, or they're ignorant to how citizenship work, or ignorant of how true politics work. No one owned politics. Our lack of participation on a local level give other people power over us. The lack of participation. That mean, can you have dual citizenship? Absolutely. I think dual citizenship is one of the most important things that we should be working on, but we need to work as a collective in the United States of America first, and then we decide where we want to have dual citizenship, just in case we decide that we want to keep it moving like a Garvey. But we need to experience and exact this citizenship and its values and the valuable part of it. Now I'm going to break down what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali says. And this is a sad thing that many people that been a part of the Moorish Science Temple of America under these administrations that's been around for 30, 40, 50 years, don't have a clue of how to break this down. And this is the sad part about it. But I'm the silly guy on Moorish World TV. I'm the goofy guy singing, I'm the more you're going to remember. Okay, whatever. Now let's break it down from the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Here we go. Here we go. The Prophet makes a plea to a nation. This is Moorish God, approximately 1928. Let's listen. Our divine and national principle stands for the specific grand principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And I, the Prophet, am applying to all loyal, faithful Moors, members, and the American citizens to help me in my great uplifting acts of uplifting fallen humanity. Let me stop right there. When people try to bamboozle you, they don't use context. And so they'll read this and say that, oh, the Prophet said he's applying to loyal, faithful Moors, members, and American citizens. That means we're not citizens, but you haven't read the whole context of the whole demonstration of what it means to be a citizen, which we're going to go over momentarily. To help me in my great uplifting acts, let me make this bigger. To help me in my great uplifting acts, American citizens, to help me in my great uplifting acts of uplifting fallen humanity among the Asiatic race and nation. For I have suffered much and severely in the past through misunderstanding of what this movement is dedicated to. It is the great God of law alone that guides the destiny of this divine and national movement. I know all American citizens are identified by, let me go to my next. I know that all true American citizens are identified by their national and national descent name to answer and apply to the free national constitution of this free national republic of the United States. What that means is that people that are making up these fake Moorish governments, they have no association to the teachings of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. None whatsoever. Because the Prophet Noble Drew Ali is about to break it down specifically why this is important. He said, that's why I'm calling on all true national citizens to help me morally and financially in my great work I'm doing to help this national government. Now, he said to help this national government. There wasn't no Moorish government in place. There wasn't no Moorish American government in place. There was no Sea Cannon Bay with the United States of America Republic. There was not none of that. There was no consulate. There was not nothing. He's talking about this government of the United States of America. Why is he talking about this? Is the Prophet trying to sell us out? Absolutely not. There's a method to this process. I ask you a question. Kennedy is of Italian ancestry. Kennedy that was assassinated. His father was a known bootlegger. They got much of their wealth from bootlegging. They got with the Catholic Church, and the Catholic Church even supported their campaigns. And the Kennedys are known to have shaped history by the way of the political process all the way up to the presidency until John F. Kennedy was assassinated. What does that tell you? That simply tells you that the citizen who takes over the political process, they become the force to be reckoned with. Oh, Irish descent. I'm sorry. I said Italian. Irish descent. I'm sorry. Thank you, Kinsey Bay. Irish descent. I said Italian. But anyway, the point that I'm making is the citizen that understand, get that right, Kinsey Bay, Irish descent, that takes over the political process becomes the force to be reckoned with. Why is that so important to understand? Because once you take over the political process, especially locally, on the council level, on the alderman level, up to Congress level, you get access to the bag. Once you get access to the bag, now you got access to the laws and to the shaping and molding of society. Yeah. And so in many cities where we predominantly are the dominant culture, us, that shouldn't even be a second question. But we have people that's selling us out, saying, don't talk about politics. It's politics. It's da-da-da. If we in Baltimore are 75 to 80% of the population, there is no way in the world that we shouldn't have someone that can represent us in the political arena. There is no way possible that we shouldn't have someone that represents us. And I'm not talking about randomly. I'm talking about as the prophet did it. Like, we're going to choose you, and all of us are putting you in office to get hold of the pen to represent us. We're not talking about randomly somebody running and say, oh, we're going to do something for some more. No, we're talking about people that are going to sign their name on the dotted line to do what is spoken of before they get into office. And if they do not do that, then they will suffer the consequences of what it means to be an infiltrator. I mean, somebody say, define the bag. We're going to talk about the bag in a minute. We're going to talk about the bag in a minute. I got you, brother. So Prophet Noble Ali is really being very, very simple and teaching us these valuable lessons. Now, the Prophet Noble Ali teaches anytime a man or woman fails or refuses to cast a sacred ballot at the polls, they separate themselves from all rights of American citizens. All right? Now, when we talking about the political process, again, we're not talking about somebody put themselves on a ballot and we vote for. We're talking about we're coming together as a group and we put our own person on the ballot and we put them in office. That's the true political process. We're not talking about somebody show up on the ballot and we vote Republican or we vote Democrat. No, we're talking about organizing before the vote, put our own person on the ballot and put our own person into position. That's the true political process. It says, for surely this is one of the connecting mediums for a citizen to his nation. They become no more than belated beasts of burden. This is what the Prophet Noble Ali says. When it comes to not participating in the political process, they become nothing more than belated beasts of burden. So anybody that tells our people do not to participate in the political process, according to the teachings of the prophet, they're nothing more than belated beasts of burden. There are reasons why certain classes who are more or less independent take no part in politics, since they say they get nothing out of such in a way of material gain. This is no less than a political slave, since they refuse to voice their sentiments at the polls. Another form of political slavery, which is probably more prevalent among the less independent classes, is that of being forced into one of the major parties and they're bribed, coerced, or otherwise forced to vote the wishes of someone else, regardless of their own minds. You hear what the prophet is saying? We need to come together, come to the round table, put our person there, and we put our person in position. You don't join a political party and you vote for something that doesn't represent your interests. That's where we've been going wrong. This is where we've been going wrong. Again, anybody that tells us do not participate in the political process, that they're trying to enslave us. They're trying to enslave us. See, the organization of the Moorish Science Temple of America is supposed to organize this pool of people and get our people in position to put this individual or individuals in office to represent us and get access to the bag. We're going to talk about the bag in a minute. Our prophet says that before there can be general relief for the economic good of all forms of political slavery must be abolished, and every citizen must take his part in the affairs of the nation. Does this sound like Prophet Noble Drew Ali was trying to create a Moorish American government? The United States of America Republic under Cannon Bay? Does this sound like that? Many people don't understand where the prophet is going with this. And so they do what they do. Prophet Noble Drew Ali says, the citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. This is for the Cannon Bays. There was no Moorish government. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And it is a sin, for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of the free national government and cling to the names and principles that allude to slavery. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where the rubber meets the road. The prophet, was prepared by the great God of law to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and to go back to the state of mind of their forefathers, divine and national principles. Stop there. He says to go back to the state of mind of their forefathers, divine and national principles. Do we understand what a divine and national principle is? The divine principle is that you are a part and parcel of the universal creator, that you are a part and parcel of God. The state of mind of your forefathers is you are a part and parcel of God, that the Spirit of God is in you, that the Spirit of God is a part of you, that God took a piece of himself and put in you. That's number one. National principles. National, the key word is nation. So you return back to the nation principle. The nation principle is we are all one family, colony, community, nation. Return back to the state of mind that we are all one community, one colony, one nation. We got to return back to that state of mind. And it goes on to say that they will be law abiders and receive their divine rights as citizens. In other words, divine rights as citizens, because the word divine is in there, meaning that God, Allah, the universe will fight your cause. When you return back to the state of mind, the divine state of mind of your forefathers, national principles and divine principles, the divine fights your cause. But you got to act out the efforts of defending your cause by moving in one accord as a nation, as one group, one nation under the groove, according to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. Many of us have yet to be free because we still cling to the names that was given to us and keep us bounded in this black ideal that's really not going nowhere. And it never will go nowhere because it disassociates you with your greatness. They are to claim their own free national name. So when people say that they are black, I get it. I get it. But black is not a free national name. Black muddy the waters because black has no connection to any nation or independent tribe or independent government of yesterday nor today. So it disconnects you. Watch how the prophet breaks it down. Don't be offended. Open your mind and learn this real quick. Black is an adjective describing the noun. The noun is the people, personal, place, or thing. Black describes. So a person can be black as it relates to an adjective. But many of us are not even that as it relates to an adjective. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. Why religion? Let me say this. Why religion? One of the strongest positions to have in the government of the United States is the door of freedom of religion. That's one of the strongest things that you can have in the United States of America. The freedom of religion. It's in the law. Very important. I'll get back to that in a minute. They must proclaim their free national name and religion. Prophet Noble Drew Ali goes on to say, there is but one issue. Here we go. There is about one issue for them to be recognized by the government by this government. I'm sorry. There is one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it comes to your connection of the Moorish Divine and National Movement, which is incorporated in this government. Again, people might don't understand this, but it's a reason why it's done this way and recognized by all nations of the world. And through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens. That they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under the free national constitution of what? Of the state's government, and not under the granted privilege as had been existing condition for many generations. Don't this seem like maybe that the prophet is trying to get people to participate in building their own future in this regard politically? It doesn't seem like the prophet is trying to separate us completely. It seems like the prophet is trying to give us a distinction and take what's ours. In fact, that's what's going on. The prophet is giving us our unique distinction amongst other distinctions in this United States of America. And we are to work, fight, work together to get what's ours. Who builds something over 400 years and walk away from it? Only a fool would do that. Only a fool would do that. I'm going to get him again on this. I'm going to address this also. All of us are still classified as Negroes in the United States Census Bureau and Social Security Administration under the 14th Amendment. I'm going to talk about that in a minute also. But you are classified as Negroes because you accept it. You classified as Negroes because you haven't united around a central authority or central leadership that can go and make the correction for you. You're classified as Negroes because you haven't come together yet. That's the reason why. That's the only reason why. If nobody is going to take a position of unity and allow the central authority to handle these situations, then you're always going to be classified as Negroes. But the whole thing in a nutshell is that these classifications doesn't make you who you are. You make you who you are. But we're going to talk about that from a Moorish Science Temple of America perspective in a second. We're going to get right to that in a second. Now remember the original question. The original question was, how do you proclaim your free national name? All right. It says they are to claim, according to our free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings, they are to claim their own free national name and religion. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it is through your connection to the Moorish Divine and National Movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all nations of the world. And through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other American citizens. They can cast a free national ballot at the poll under the free national constitution of the United States and not under a granted privilege. So how do you proclaim your free national name? Hold that thought. Prophet Noble Drew Ali says, remember, keep that in mind. How do you proclaim your free national name? You who doubt whether you who doubt, let's stand there, because people like to go to this European a lot. You know what I mean? People love to go to the European. Listen to what he says. You who doubt. Stop right there. Kenzie Bay. It says, you who doubt. This is speaking to you doubters. I went to City Hall and I asked. I went here and I asked. I asked the European. I asked you who doubt. See, I don't doubt the prophet. I don't have to ask this European nothing. Ain't nothing this European can tell me. I got common sense. I know what history says. I know what politics says. I know what national principle is. But for all those who doubt, somebody right now, you who doubt, for all of y'all who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those that know the law in the city hall and among the officials in your government and ask them under intelligent tone, and they will be glad to render you a favorable reply. You who doubt, for they are glad to see me bring you out of the darkness into the light. Now here we go talking about the bag, Kenzie Bay. Money doesn't make the man. It's free national standards and power that make the man and a nation. Here's the bag. Want to know what the bag is? The bag, the wealth of all national governments, gold and silver and commerce belongs to the citizens alone. Regardless if we are under the gold standard, the silver standard or not, what the prophet is saying is that the economics of the country belongs to the citizen. It doesn't belong to the non-citizen. It's your money. Every tax you pay, it's yours. Every road that is constructed is done by your money. Every dime that run the city lights is your money. That's right. Every school program, every lunch program, everything in this country is owned by the citizens and the citizens alone. This is why the prophets say, proclaim your nationality and become a part, take your place in the affairs of men, because you are paying into something and not getting anything out due to your ignorance. Due to your ignorance. Due to your ignorance, you are paying into something. It says, the wealth of all national governments, gold and silver and commerce, belong to the citizens alone. And without your national citizenship by name and principle, you have no true wealth. And I am hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for a free national government. And this is what them fugazi, crazy, Moorish, sovereign, crazy stuff talks about. And the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. In context, what the prophet is talking about is that people know the value of citizenship. They just not teaching it to you. The Irish know the value of citizenship. The Polish know the value of citizenship. The Mexicans, Nicaraguans, everybody, Chinese, Japanese, they know the value of citizenship. And if they are citizens and true in principle, prophets say, I need your help to help me. They know the value. We have yet to know the value. He said, help me save my people who have fallen from the constitution laws of the government. In other words, where we are active, it can be ours. If we are active in a community in Baltimore politically, it can be ours. If we are active in the Baltimore city as a group collective with our own person to speak our voice, it can be ours. Help me save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of the government. In other words, we do not know how to participate in the political process to make something our own. Other people do. Chinatown do. The Chinese know how to participate in the political process. We don't. We go in as Democrats. We go in as Republicans. We go in as independents, but we don't have an agenda, and we don't have anybody to represent our agenda. Let me get me some water. If anybody interested in joining, somebody put our link in there, joinnobletemples@gmail.com. If anybody interested in joining and becoming a part of this process, now I'm gonna tell you, it ain't gonna happen overnight. We got to put an 18-month program together to get this popping. We got something coming up in the next 2 years. We can get it popping. If you're interested in joining, this is what we work towards. If you're not interested in joining the effort, then this is just another YouTube show that we're going to do on Moorish World TV. But if you're interested in joining the efforts, join nobletemples@gmail.com. Now, let's get back to it. 1 second. Now, somebody put the information in there, joinnobletemples@gmail.com. Because this is what we're working here. I'm just not talking here. You know how people be talking? Like, I'm just not. This is exactly what we're working towards. This is it. We got 2 years before the election comes. Locally around the country, we can make change if we know how to organize and execute the Prophet's program, which is not necessarily the Prophet program. It's the principles of our forefathers. Our forefathers knew how to take that which exists and make it their own. You hear what I say? Take that which already exists and make it their own. When our forefathers conquered Spain, they didn't obliterate Spain. They took that which was there and added to it. Listen, they took that which was there and added to it. They didn't destroy Spain. Whenever there's a war, the victor does everything possible to salvage as much people as they can and much property as they can. Because without the people, everything falls apart. The power is in the people. So the same thing in our situation is that we think that we got to destroy something. We're not here to overthrow this government. But that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. There is no person in history that tried to obliterate another nation in the war process. They try to minimize that because they always want to take home what? The booty. Because the wealth is in the structure. The wealth is in the structure. Let's get to it. So our Prophet Noble Drew Ali says, help me to save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of the government. I'm depending on your support to help them, to get them back into the constitutional fold again, that they may learn to love instead of hate, and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national constitution of the United States. This kills all of that Pleasant Bay foolishness. This destroys that Pleasant Bay foolishness about a Moorish American government. This destroys Sea Cannon Bay foolishness. They are hustling people, period. They are simply hustling people, and they have been for quite some time. That's all they're doing is hustling people. They have no intentions to create no government, for they don't even know how a government is created. The Taj Tariq Beys, they be hustling for ego, or they're hustling for change or selling something. They are hustling the people. You know what I'm saying? Please explain that part of justice means. Let me see. I'm not sure. So it says, say something else, Jasmine. Please explain what part of justice means. I'm not sure the question. But it says, learn to hate and learn to live according to love, true peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national constitution of the United States. In other words, you got to make this your own. You got to take this and make this your own. He said, I love my people and I desire their unity and mind back to their own free national and divine standard, because day by day they are violating the national constitutional laws of their government, by claiming names and principles that are unconstitutional. What it means, how do you come to justice in this part? I'll try to answer that in a second. Is the United States justice law? Oh no. Okay, I got your question. Is it the United States justice laws or what? Yasmin says, I think what Sister Yasmin is saying, that's my lovely sister. I think what the sister's saying is, are we going to use the United States laws? Let me show you something in a minute. I'm going to answer that in a second. But this is, let me finish this paragraph real quick. He said, I love my people and I desire their unity and mind back to their own free national and divine standard, because day by day they have been violating the national and constitutional laws of their government by claiming names and principles that are unconstitutional. If Italians, Greeks, English, Chinese, Japanese, Turks, and Arabians are forced to proclaim their free national name and religion before the constitutional government of the United States, it is no more than right that the law should be enforced upon all other American citizens. In other words, an Italian is not calling himself a beige person. A Greek is not calling himself an orange person. A Chinese is not a yellow person. A Japanese is not a tangerine person. A Turk is not a brown person. And you are definitely not a black person. And so the Prophet Noble Ali saying is that all of these other peoples are forced. In other words, when the Japanese come into this country and try to become a citizen of the United States or even visit the United States, they cannot put on their application that they are a yellow person. They would have to say they are, say it with me now, Japanese. Now we are here and we're claiming things that we are not. But if you want the respect that goes with knowing who you are, then you got to proclaim it. Remember, this is how do you proclaim your nationality? You got to proclaim it. If an Italian comes here from Italy, he's not going to call himself a white person on his application. So why do they call ourselves? There we go. So why do they call us African American Black, GS? How can we change this and have a title? That's what this is all about. That's what this is all about. So this whole thing is all about us taking charge of our situation. First, understanding who we are and where we descend from. See, Italians understand that they descend from Europe in the country known as Italy. 1 second. The problem with us is we have not been able to come together collectively and accept who we are. So I proclaim Moorish American. I'm descendants of the Moors of yesterday, but born in America today. In the era of time of the Moorish stronghold, you feel me? Of the Moorish stronghold, the Moorish nations was a conglomerate that extended from the northwest, southwestern shores of Africa. It was not one country. It was a conglomerate, which known in history as the Moroccan Empire. It was a conglomerate of many nations. But today, that's not the case. Now we live in a nation state of mind. Now, in order for us to be in tune, there we go. That's Yasmin. There we go. There we go, Yasmin. I'm going to talk about what Moorish is in a minute. But the Moorish ideal of yesterday was a conglomerate of many nations. If you are descendants of the slave trade, you came out of one of the Moorish nations within that conglomerate, like it or not. The conglomerate extended from the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa, even into what we know today as the Americas. So it was a conglomerate. So today, the Moorish ideal covers all of the Moorish nations or Asiatic nations. And so proclaiming Moorish puts you right in tune with the status of your ancestry, regardless of what nation. Now, we can try to pin down the specific nation, but we're talking about an empire. Let me give you an example. During the Roman Empire, it didn't matter if you was in Jerusalem, if you was in Rome, or if you were in Turkey. You were considered a Roman legally, according to status. That doesn't mean that you was Roman as it relates to skin complexion. No, it was under the Roman Empire, and the Roman Empire extended all around North Africa. The Ptolemy period in Egypt, Mauritania, the Romans controlled it. So from a status standpoint, people were known as Romans, but people held on to their tribal affiliation. So although you had people of North Africa still holding on to their tribal affiliation, when the Romans took over parts of North Africa, these was Roman providences. See, the empire principle is still the same. From northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa, these were all Moors. Even into the Americas, these were all Moors. But we're not talking about tribal, we're talking about an empire. So you start with the empire to identify who you are. You follow what I'm saying? You start with the empire to identify who you are and who your ancestors were. That's where you start. So in America, we identify as Moorish because that was the last stronghold, and that's where they plucked the slaves from the Moorish Moroccan Empire, right after the expulsion of Spain. The Moors was put into slavery. History proves this. History proves this. But now, our Prophet Noble Ali teaches us that if all of these people come to America, they don't classify themselves as colors. Why are we doing it? And this is why Prophet Noble Ali, in the third line from the bottom, he says, it is no more than right that the law should be enforced on all American citizens alike. The Prophet is calling you a citizen. He's telling you that the law is forced on all American citizens alike. What makes you a citizen is your birth here. But many people like to use out of context one of the sayings. They say, the Prophet said, just because you're born here don't make you a citizen. Tell me where you got that from, and I can tell you, man, you're playing games. I can tell you playing games. And don't give me no oral statement. And don't give me no oral statements. I'm showing you exactly what the Prophet said. Exactly what the Prophet said. What the Prophet said is that it is no more than right that the law should be enforced upon all American citizens alike. In all governments, when a man is born and raised there and asks for his national descent name, if he fails to give it, he is misused, imprisoned, or exiled. In any group, oh, I stopped it right there. Let me just go right here. The Prophet breaks this down for us. The word Negro alludes to the Latin, alludes in the Latin language to the word nigger. Now, where do we get the term black from? Negro and black is synonymous. It's the same thing. So calling yourself black is calling yourself a Negro. You can't say I'm not a Negro, but I'm black. That's an oxymoron. How are you ashamed to call yourself a Negro, but not ashamed to call yourself black? Can anybody answer that for me? Do anybody know that the equivalent to Negro is black? Do anybody know that? Anybody? And notice what the prophet said. The word Negro deludes in the Latin language to the word nigger. The same as the word color deludes to anything painted, varnished, or dyed. And every nation must bear a national descent name of their forefathers. Because honoring thy father and thy mother, your days will be linking upon the earthland. In other words, as it says in the Bible, that honor thy mother and thy father, that their days may be long upon the earth, what the Lord thy God has given thee. What that means is that the name in which you identify live on, even when you go into the grave. It says these names have never been recognized by any true American citizen of this day. See, everybody is not true American citizens because everybody don't know the value of citizenship, and everybody don't know the political process of how citizenship works and how power is obtained. Through your free national name, you are known and recognized by all nations of the earth and recognized by said national government in which they live. Through your free national name, you are recognized by all nations of the earth. Who was recognized by their free national name in all nations of the earth? Say it with me now. This has nothing to do with one wanting to be a Moorish American proclaimed. Say it with me now. You know, she recognized by her free national name. It doesn't matter her sexual preference. It doesn't matter all the tattoos. She is recognized by her free national name. Say it with me now. What is her free national name? American. You hear what I say? Free national name is not Johnson Bay, Tahaka Bay, Abuke Bay, Rahman El Amin. She's recognized by her free national name. This is why the United States are involved. She is a citizen, whether she call herself Moorish American or not. But if we want to have political power as a nation of people, it would only make sense that you work within the construct of your community, your tribe, and your nation. And this is the purpose of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So we can get back to the point where we can compete with Italians, where we can compete with Russians, where we can compete with anybody in this country who's getting their piece of the pie, and we're being left out because we leave ourselves out. You understand what I'm saying? So being a Moorish American is really about organizing around constructing. Yeah, I'm going to open the floor in a minute. Being a Moorish American is about organizing around and constructing your own destiny as you walk through the doors of the Moorish Science Temple of America and the principles thereof under a central authority, a central leadership that expresses your concerns. That expresses your concerns. In other words, you take that which exists and you make it your own through the political process. You start locally. You start locally where we are predominantly the numbers. You make it your own. You make it your own. And then you expand it. And in 20 or 30 years, you will understand why we wave the American flag, because it would have been captured. Anytime that a war is won, the first thing that happens, they capture the flag and they plant their own flag. Now, let me finish this real quick. We got a few questions in. Anybody in the temple, if they're going to close out the meeting, y'all can close out the meeting. I'm going to keep going till I finish and take a few questions. This is our Sunday Guidance of the Nations class that we do in the Moorish Science Temple of America. We do it online. Next week, we'll be doing it in the temple, and we invite everybody in Baltimore to come in through the temple to learn these lessons. But you can join Noble Temples at gmail.com. We do this online every week. We break this down. We got leadership class on Wednesdays, sometimes Thursdays. And this is what we do. I just don't do Moorish World TV. But let me get back to what I was into real quick. 1 second. So it says, these names has never been recognized by true American citizens of this day. Through your free national name, you are known and recognized by all nations of the earth that are recognized by said national government in which they live. The 14th and the 15th Amendments brought the North and the South together, put the North and the South in unit, placing the Southerners who were at the time without power with the constitutional body of power. Why was the 14th and 15th Amendment established? Why? To bring the North and the South together, who was without power. The 14th and the 5th Amendment brought the North and the South together in unit, placing the Southerners who were at the time without power with the constitutional body of government. At the time, 1865, the free national constitutional law that was in force since 1774 declared all men free and equal. Now listen to this. And if all men are declared by the free national constitution to be free and equal, since that constitution has never changed, there is no need for the application of the 14th and 15th Amendment for the salvation of my people as citizens. In other words, when they established the 14th and 15th Amendment, and people want to try to say that's when we became citizens, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, ignore that. That's not for you. The 14th and the 15th Amendment do not free you from slavery. According to the Free National Constitution that's been in force since 1774, all we got to do is proclaim. Kanye West made a statement one time. He said, in all intents and purposes, we participated and was complicit in our own slavery. In other words, what Kanye West was saying, that we did not resist enough. I'm telling you, in this day and time, all we need to do is come together, and the resistance is an educational, intellectual, political process that's founded on economics. It's going to take some money. It's going to take some talented people who understand how this process works. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just take the wheel and fix the flat. You hear what I say? You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Take the wheel and fix the flat. Learn how to take the wheel and fix the flat. That's what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali is all about. Now, remember, this is called How to Proclaim Your Nationality. I'm getting to my answer. We almost done. We are the Moorish Science Temple of America, like countless other American citizens. There we go again. Prophet Noble Drew Ali is saying, like countless other American citizens. In other words, the catch phrase in this, other American citizens, which would imply that you are an American citizen. We'll talk about that in a minute. What is the U.S. Constitution of 1774? That was the draft of the original Constitution. I'll get into that in a minute. Hold on. I'm going to try to get back to all these questions. I don't want to lose my thoughts. You follow me? We of the Moorish Temple of America, like countless other American citizens, know that we must live together here in America in harmony, friendship, and goodwill, whatever our race or creed may be. Where we must live? Here, 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 here. It is only from a pure religious standpoint, it seems at this time, that we differ from a large number of our fellow Americans. These are the prophet's words. How did these grand sheiks allow these fugazi people to twist the prophet's words and run around teaching this garbage? This is the real deal from the prophet. We believe in and foster the Muslim religion. We believe in the principles of its teachings insofar. This is for people that think we're going to make you dress up and act funny and do weird things. You hear me? This is for the people that think that we're going to make you dress up, act funny, and do weird things. We believe in its principles. Say it again. We foster the Muslim religion, but we believe in its principles of its teachings, insofar as it can be adopted to American life. In other words, the principles of the teachings is what we're looking for. We're not looking for the customary principles that you see given to the Eastern persuasion and the European Arab persuasion of Islam. We're not doing that. That's not what we're doing. We're looking for the principles as they can be adopted into American life. We have American experience. We feel that the Christian religion is a right for those who prefer it. In America, religious freedom is guaranteed all under the Constitution. Under the Constitution. What Constitution? The one that Taj Tariq Bey made? The one that the Zodiac Constitution that CM Bey made? What Constitution? The one that the Moorish American government made, fabricated, remixed out of the divine constitution and bylaws? What constitution? What constitution? You understand what I'm saying? Look at that. My brother said, I like that. He said, thank you. Had me thinking I had to dress a long tunic and wear turbans every day. Nah, that is goofiness. Our prophet says we believe in the principles of its teachings insofar as it can be adopted to American life. So he goes on to say, he's saying in America, religious freedom is guaranteed all under the Constitution. He's not talking about the divine Constitution. He's talking about the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. Is that what it is? What is the First Amendment? Anybody know? Let me pull it up. What is the First Amendment of the United States? Congress shall make no law respecting establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof and abridging the freedom. Man, let me go and do that. He's not talking about the divine constitution and bylaws. That's what we would like to say. He's talking about exactly what he's talking about. He's talking about the Constitution of the United States, the First Amendment. You feel me? That's what he's talking about. The First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or the right of people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievance. That's what he's talking about. You follow me? Next paragraph says, we are interested in freeing ourselves and our children from our greatest plight, economic slavery. We believe that this can be done by encouraging, patronizing, and establishing our own business enterprises. I'm in the process of establishing business enterprises. Feel like I'm going broke doing it, but I look towards the future. And cultivating our own acres of land. We have been privileged to be blessed with some acres of land. We welcome into our folds. Here is the catch for Rogers Bay and everybody else who's watching. We welcome into our fold men and women of our group of all sections, all trades, occupations, and professions of sound mind and good character. Most people that you see in these freedom-fighting social organizations, they don't have sound mind and they definitely don't have good character. Prophet Noble Ali says, we are inviting into our pole and our fold people of all trades, occupations, and professions of sound mind and good character. Most people don't have a sound mind. That's why anybody can't join the Moorish Science Temple of America, who I am the Grand Sheikh and chairman of. No. If you don't have a sound mind and good character and you ain't trying to change that, you got to stay where you at. This is a membership organization. You have to have the intentions of being of sound mind and good character. Because we ain't going to go nowhere without good character, without sound mind. We ain't getting nowhere. People have been letting Moorish Americans and other groups rob them for years. They have been sleeping with this one, sleeping with that one, playing with this one, playing with that one, all in the name and the confines of the organization which they say that they love to liberate our people. How you going to be a good leader if you ain't got good moral character? How you going to be a good leader if you ain't got sound mind? How you going to lead somebody to anything? That don't even make sense. That don't even make sense. So our Prophet Noble Ali says, we invite you. Come on. All professions, trades, occupations who have sound mind. That's the key. Of sound mind and good character. That's the key. That's the key. Last paragraph, it says, we are friends and servants of humanity. We are dedicated to the purpose of elevating the moral. We are friends and servants of humanity. We are dedicated to the purpose of elevating the moral. See, before we can do anything, we got to elevate the moral first. Social and economic status of our people. Although our greatest plight is economic, our moral standards got to be elevated. Our moral standards got to be elevated. Elevating the moral, social, and economic status of our people. Many people talk about status correction as it relates to being a Moorish American. Many of them talk about status correction as it relates to being a Moorish national and all this craziness, but very few talk about the status of moral status, social status, economic status. So if anybody start talking about you got to correct your status and all of that, ask them what's up with their moral status? What's up with their social status? We have set about to do this through the wide and comprehensive program embodying the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I'm about to get to some of these questions in a second. So some says, how do you proclaim your nationality? I hope you got the answer by now. But here it goes if you didn't. Some say you have to take a test of a citizenship. Some say when you come through the flags. That is a flat out lie. You are born a citizen of the United States, whether you like it or not, if you're born on these shores. You can scream, you can holler, you can cry, you can say you're not. But according to these laws of the United States, once you are born here, you are known legally as a citizen of the United States unless you expatriate. Now, you don't have to walk through no flags. You don't have to take a test for citizenship. That is somebody robbing you. These Moorish American governments, these walking through flag people, these crazy people that's going to sell you or naturalize you, they're lying to you and they're going to rob you. And they've been doing it for years. They've been living in their living room. They've been teaching in their bedroom. They've been teaching in their basement, lying to you for years. And you've been going for it. No one has the power to make you a citizen when it's already established how that happens. It's already established. It's pre-established. Somebody say, so forced assimilation is lawful until you take a position and organize and take your place in the affairs of men and change the laws. The laws is what it is. You can feel bad about it. You can feel bad about it. You can be upset about it. The laws is what it is. This is why Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, take your place in the affairs of men. Take your place in the affairs of men and learn how to change the conditions. Learn how. Look at this. Making you a citizen is making you a slave. That's if you don't know how to participate in citizenship. If you don't know how to participate in citizenship, then of course you're a slave. When you don't understand how citizenship works, of course you're a slave. I would advise you to rewind this and where I talks about how to participate in citizenship. You understand what I'm saying? See, why you saying citizens make you a slave? The Chinese people of Chinatown, they taking it right to the bank. And they control Chinatown. And they got letters that you can't even read in Chinese in Chinatown. While you are crying about being a citizen make you a slave, you got people in Japan coming to have babies in this country so they can have citizenship access. While you're crying about citizenship, you got thousands of people of Spanish-speaking descent, origin, if you will, south of the border, coming over here, having children, taking advantage of citizen. While you're crying about citizenship making you a slave. See, this was how somebody lied to you. If citizen makes you a slave, why would people come in here through Ellis Allison? Why would people come in here in droves by Ellis Allen? Why is people dying trying to get over here from Haiti, drowning in the water? Why? Why? You think it's because the conditions are better here? No. Because they have the power to control. If they have children and participate, if they become citizenship. I got to keep going. So here we go. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. The 3,000 Muslims of Grand Temple and the West Side Temple are ready to register every man and woman in order to take their lead in various candidates who they have been instructed to vote for. This is how you take control of your citizenship. You organize thousands of people. And that thousands of people choose from amongst themselves who can represent them. And then those thousands of people put that person in power. You don't let somebody hand you a person, give you a person, and you go into the booth and vote. You create your own candidate. You hear what I say? You create your own candidate. The 3,000 Muslims of the Grand Temple and the West Side Temple are making ready to register every man or woman in order to take the lead for the various candidates whom they've been instructed to vote for. Alderman Lewis B. Anderson. He's an alderman. Access to the bag. Honorable George W. Blackwell. He is a judge. You're worried about how you don't get a fair trial? The European Jew put their people on the bench. Judge Blackwell. The Honorable Oscar the Priest. The Honorable Robert H. Jackson, and all working through the regular Republican organization. That doesn't mean that you go Republican or Democrat. You go with the issues and you pick the people that you want to move on your behalf. You don't walk through no flags and all. Nah. You organize and you execute. Of which the Honorable Daniel M. Jackson is their matchless leader. All know the situation, the whole situation, and have gave their own way in time to give order to go. You know what that means? That they had a consensus and they had a plan. That when it's time to move, this is the sign. When it's time to execute, this is what you look for. This is called strategy. This is called exercising your free national principle of your forefathers, learning how to take that which is there, make it your own, and spread it like wildfire. So if you do it locally in Baltimore, you do it locally in Chicago, you do it locally in LA, you do it you hear what I'm saying? And you spread it like wildfire. But these fugazi and the attempts by the power structure to make Moorish science to seem something that it's not, make it seem like politics are weird, make it seem like politics are corrupt. The people are corrupt. The system is there for you to take and make your own. Again, how do you think Kennedy got in office? He was able to harness the Catholics. He was able to harness the power of the Catholics. And then that energy was able to harness all the sympathizers. Anybody that tells you that this is a dead-end process, they don't understand the process. This is why the infiltration happened of the Moorish Science Temple of America. So we can have people almost 100 years later still talking the same silly stuff that politics is criminal. Politics is slavery. Citizenship is slavery. They have never exercised their citizenship. Never. Citizenship does not have power as an individual. Citizenship only has power as a collective. And until you exercise it as a collective, you will never have power. The Chinese exercise citizenship as a collective. The Italians as a collective. Who getting power here in Baltimore right now? The European Jew as a collective. The Indians, the Pakistanians as a collective. As a collective. I don't even want to get into, brother said you have time to share how block voting works. I don't even want to get into block voting. What I want to get into is that what they would call block voting is simply we being under a central authority to move as one, as it says right here. This is typically what block voting is. Typically what block voting is that you get 3,000 people who have selected those that they want to be in power, and they vote to put them in power. So in a district, if you take District 12 in Baltimore, if you get 3,000 people, and out of that 3,000, you pick one amongst yourself, those 3,000 people vote for that one person, there is no doubt that that person will win the seat. I don't care if it's Uncle Joe, Uncle Buck, or Sister Suella. If you get 3,000 to 4,000 people saying that they're going to vote for Uncle Joe will be your next. Uncle Joe will definitely be your next city councilman. Uncle Joe ain't got to know nothing about politics, but he will be your city councilman. The power is in the people. Somebody say, how does that work over 100K voters? It doesn't work like that because we're talking local. We're talking local where we are the dominant population. It can be 100K voters, but we're talking local politics is where the power is. The local politics, let me show you something, man. We think too big. Scale it down a little bit. Let's scale it on down real quick. Let me show you something real quick. Baltimore City Council. Voting. Baltimore City Council voting results. And I don't even know what they are at this point, but let's just look it up real quick. All right. 20. That's the presidential. Let me see. Let me find. Hold up. There you go. Bang. All right. So here we go. Scale it down. Keep it official. These are the unofficial results for 2022. You see this? Let's deal with scale it down. Hold up, my bad. Let's all right, you see this? And this is just gonna be a quick because I don't want to belabor what I'm trying to get to. You follow me? You see this? Early voting for Dan Cox and Cardona, Republican, 3,333. Election day, 11,000. Republican. Let me go down to Democrat. Look at these numbers. Just look at the numbers. That shows a lack of participation on both sides. So if you go into the community and educate people on the power of moving as one, this is a cakewalk. You hear what I say? This is a cakewalk. I don't want to go deep into it, but Kenzie Bay, can you see that this is a cakewalk? This is easy. This is easy. Kenzie Bay, can you see how easy this is? This is a cakewalk. The thing is nobody is pushing this program. This is why we have the Alliance for Political Accountability. This is a cakewalk. You can take over every district with a minimum of 3,000 people. It's 3,000 people. Easy. This is a cakewalk. People are just not aware. People are just not aware. And you got religious group talking about don't participate. You got fake 501c3s can't tell you who to vote for. Under C. Kirkman Bay, they can't tell you who to vote for. Under Jones Bay, they can't tell you who to vote for. They will lose their 501c3 status. They will lose these fake Moorish Science Temple of America under Jones Bay and the likes that are 501c3s. They will lose their 501c3 status if they organize like Prophet Noble Drew Ali. They will lose it. They will have to pay taxes on that land that they done swindled out the Moors. They will have to pay taxes on Horn Street, big old temple that they got from the Polish. They will have to pay taxes. They will lose it all. They can't tell you who to vote for. They can't organize like the Prophet. Therefore, they cannot be the Prophet's movement. They cannot. It's impossible for them to be the Prophet's Moorish Science Temple of America. We are here to be the Prophet's Moorish Science Temple of America from example and example alone. They cannot. It's impossible. It is impossible. They only spinning their wheels in the mud. It's a cakewalk. Whether it's Chicago, whether it's Detroit, whether it's Baltimore, whether it's Philadelphia, no matter where it's at, it's a cakewalk. Once people know how participation works, when you know you're not voting for one who is elected for you, but it's one that you select for you. It's not the elected official that represents you. It's the selected official. Until you select an official, you will ever be traumatized and abused and used for your vote. You will be abused and used for your vote. And these people calling themselves Moors and Moorish Science Temple of America and Moorish American governments, they have no clue about the Prophet's program. They have made the Prophet into this mystical figure as they read about people in the Bible. They read about Moses parting the Red Sea. They read about walking on water, and they want to mystify Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Prophet Noble Drew Ali gave us a basic solution. I keep telling people there's only two ways out of this situation. Two ways: the political process or bloodshed. The political process. You feel me? Is the Noble Temple Incorporated or somehow registered GSA? No, we are registered, incorporated as the Moorish Science Temple of America. That's right. Under the Herds Provide statute laws of the county of Cook in Chicago, the same way the Prophet instructs us to move. We did nothing any different. We're not moving any different from Prophet Noble Drew Ali. No way different. We are incorporated in this government the way that the Prophet was. That gives us connection, but also allows us autonomy. That's right. So how do you proclaim your nationality? You have to proclaim it, be it, live it. Join an organization who is living it. You follow me? Hold up. I got a few more slides. Hold up. I got to finish these slides. Like I said, I hope they closed out the meeting. I got a few more slides. So, the question is, how do we remove Black from our records? This is the question. How do we remove Black from our records? This is the question from my brother. How do we remove Black from our records? Well, until everybody fall under a central authority that understands, and not everybody, until you fall under a central authority that understands the process of executing the Moorish American ideal, it won't happen. I mean, it won't happen. You follow me? The way that you get them removed from your records, the Grand Sheikh and the administration moves on the people that control the records and say, it's my religious right not to be classified as blue, black, orange, such and such. It's my religious right to connect my title to my name. It's not done by an individual. It's done by an organization. The religious corporation. The door of religious freedom swings open. Remember, listen what the prophets say about that. The door of religious freedom. Let me see if I can find it. Where is that? Is that it? I forget the slide now. But when the prophet talks about the door of religious freedom, right here. In America, religious freedom is guaranteed, all under the Constitution. The door of religious freedom swings open. And so when you look at this authority right here, as the prophet filed, if you know how this works, then it gives the power to be respected. But it's not respected as an individual. An individual could not go anywhere and try to fix black off of their records or go anywhere and fix. I mean, you can tell people, look, I'm a Moorish American. Some might go for it, some might not. But a uniformed way is in the process of being developed. But there is no Grand Sheik, no Moorish Science Temple of America who has developed a unified way to remove black from your records, to remove anything from your records. They all freestyling. And the prophet told you how it could be done. It has to be done by the way of a central authority, organization, religious corporation. Let me show you something real quick. Stand by. Got you. Your leaders are selling you out. Your leaders are selling you out. That's the bottom line. Your leaders are selling you out. Either they don't know or they're selling you out. That's just the bottom line, man. That's just the bottom line. They don't know or they're selling you out. But I'm going to show you something that's very practical and simple real quick. I'm going to show you something practical and simple. This is how your leaders are selling you out. This is how they selling you out. Every day, they're selling you out. Watch this. I'm going to read something to you. See if you can catch it real quick. Changing your name or gender marker under Gender Recognition Act. Catch it real quick, family. Changing your name or gender marker under the Gender Recognition Act. When you see an act, that means what? A law. Now, let's talk about it for a second. On June 24th, 2021, the Gender Recognition Act was signed into law, giving New Yorkers the ability to select M, F, or X gender markers on a New York State issues driver's license, state ID, and birth certificate. The legislation is streamlines the process to change the name or gender marker on New York State issues driver's license, ID, and birth certificate, and require numerous public-private entities to honor the name change. Requires numerous public and private entities to honor the name change. The following information explains your right under the new law and explains how to change your name and gender under New York's identity document. This is right here. But let me tell you, to make a long story short, there was an organization organized around the effort to pursue that action. There wasn't no one person up in there throwing some paperwork on somebody's desk talking about, I'm not a man, I'm a woman. There wasn't no one person doing that. There was an organized effort. It was an organized effort from organizations. So if you want to know how you can change names, you have to organize under somebody who's competent to get this thing done. No, it's not. It's not. Listen, right. It's easier to become a female than demonstrate being Moorish recognized by a Moorish American. It is not easier. You have not been practicing the Moorish Science Temple of America principles under a functional, competent leadership. This could be done overnight. Don't nobody want to listen. Today, how many people want to participate and be members and show up to meetings and learn the principles to change your life around, to move in the principles of the divine? How many people want to be a dues-paying member? How many people want to represent and have confidence and faith in a leader that they're going to go and make sure that these things is changed so we can move on and our babies won't be affected by? Man, people don't even want to attend no Friday meetings. People don't want to attend no Sunday meetings. People don't want to attend no Wednesday learning meetings. People want to just go there and get a handout. They want to go there and get a handout and shove paper at Europeans. Look, this is who I am. This is who I am. As opposed to rally yourself around a leadership that is competent, and the leadership go and come back with the goods. Come on, man. It ain't easier. It's that they are more organized than you are. That's all. They are more organized than you are. The LGBT community are smarter than you. That's what it is. The LGBT community are smarter than you at this day and time. That's just what it is. They know how to get things done. And somebody say, scammers everywhere, brothers, to be honest. Scammers everywhere, brothers, to be honest. Well, there's scammers in the LGBT community too. But guess what? They got that law passed. They got that law passed. We can't keep making up excuses. We can't keep making up excuses. They got that law passed. See, what we do is we waste time with leaders with no track record. We waste time with leaders with no track records of success. That's what we do. We waste time with leaders with no track record of success. None of these leaders that you follow call themselves Moorish Americans and Grand Sheiks and divine ministers and adepts do not have a plan, nor do they have a successful track record. Besides saying we all must get along, we learn to love instead of hate. Come on, Moor. Why are we arguing with each other? Islam, the prophet, is about love. All that old goofy stuff. But they ain't changing no laws. They ain't changing no status. They ain't changing no economic, moral status. They don't have no plan to execute that. They talk that stuff. They wear them fezzes. They wear them turbans. They wear them sashes that they buy from the Europeans. But they ain't doing that, man. They ain't doing that. This is the Rogers Bay say they're going to steal your plan. One thing about it, they can't steal the plan because there's too many layers to it. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali put this plan together real. It's too many layers to it, and it takes too much work for some of these people. Rogers Bay, let me put the link in there if anybody want to come in and ask a question. Rogers Bay was asking a question. I was trying to reach out to him recently to just check on him, but they can't. They can't steal the Prophet's plan. It's too many layers to it. There's an economic plan. There's a political plan. There's a religious plan. There's a social plan. There is too many layers. It would make somebody brain jelly. Their brain would and then another thing, they got to go and do the work for real. They got to go door to door. They got to talk to people. They got to be relatable to people. Come on, man. You got to have some energy to do that, Rogers Bay. You just can't be on the internet. You got to shake hands with people. You got to go into the public with people. You got to hug some babies. You got to wave at some people. You just can't give people GMO food talking about I'm doing the work. You know what I mean? You got to put in some work. You got to put in some work. So ain't nobody can steal the plan because it takes manpower. And this is why the Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, this is a field open to strong men and women. See, the weak think that you'll be able to create a piece of paperwork and slide it on the desk of somebody and you walk out. Good luck with that. The power is in the people. The people must be behind you. When you can go somewhere and show that you got 3,000 in a city, district, everything changed. And you can show nationally what's rolling with you. That's what changes things. Let me get these last few slides in real quick. So this is the power here, if you know how to execute it. Now, here we go. Let's read this real quick. I got 3 more slides. In the course of national events, now comes the time for the election of a congressman. This is from the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, from the 1st congressional district. Never before in history of a nation has so much attention been focused on so small parcel of this country. Special interest is being taken because this district controlled by a people who have been denied representation in the halls of Congress for nearly 30 years. Prophet Noble Drew Ali says that the south side of Chicago is controlled by a people who had no representation in Congress for nearly 30 years. Listen to this, family. There will be opposition coming from without and within the ranks of this people. No one doubts. In other words, listen to this. There will be opposition with our people and those who oppose how we move. No one doubts that the regular organization which have force to be considered will dictate the outcome. You feel me? You hear what it say? There will be opposition coming from without and within the ranks of this people. No one doubts that the regular organization would have force to be considered the outcome. Oh, I'm sorry. To be considered would dictate the outcome of the election. But one cannot fail to see so much activity on the part of a self-appointed few people who feel no one can represent this people as well as they. The prophet giving it to you. The prophet giving it to you. He says, this will be fine time for the people who have been at the grave, at this grave disadvantage to show that they are or whether they deserve to be represented in the halls of Congress. For surely, if they permit themselves to be beguiled into splitting up their solid votes, no better evidence is needed to prove that they do not deserve to be represented. You hear what the prophet say? If you are foolish enough to be beguiled, to be tricked, to split up your vote, you don't deserve representation. He says, we can elect one congressman and only one. When Honorable George F. White left the halls of Congress more than a quarter century ago, he said his leave will only be temporary. And now comes the time when he will return in the person of Honorable Oscar the Priest. What that means, Rogers Bay, the nationality taken from the Moors in 79, 70. I'll explain. We did not answer up. We chose to accept the term Negro. And so the books was changed from Moor to Negro on the legal document. That's it. I'm not getting all into that. On the legal document in 1779, we'll talk about that later. We didn't answer up. We chose to accept the term Negro. That's a whole nother class. We chose to accept the term Negro. So on the legal record, that's what was put on. And if we continue to accept the term black, it will continue to be on the legal record. But that's a whole nother class. That's a whole nother class. So we seen the congressional record, brother. The congressional record, it blacks out the term Moor. Again, that's another class for another time. But here we go. And then you gotta look at the congressional record. I'm gonna send you a link, brother. Message me on. How can you message me? Message me on Messenger. I did a whole class on that. A whole class about the congressional record in Philadelphia, the Continental Congress, all of that. I did a whole class on that. You know, and I don't want to belabor this. I've been here 2 hours now. I don't want to belabor this. I've done a whole intensive breakdown of 1779, 1865, 1774. I did a whole thing. I did a whole thing on that. No, brother, I haven't heard you, brother. I haven't heard from you in a minute, Rogers, baby. But let me finish. I'm finished. I don't want to lose my point. We can elect one congressman and only one when the Honorable George F. White left the halls of Congress more than a quarter century ago. He said his leave would only be temporary. When you study George F. White, you'll get a glimpse why the prophet mentioned him. He left Congress, as the prophet said, quarter century ago. But you'll understand why the prophet mentioned him. George H. White, bold legislative proposal combating disenfranchisement and mob violence in the South distinguished him from more of his reserved contemporaries. In other words, he spoke out. The lone, quote-unquote, African-American representative at the dawn of the 20th century, White spoke candidly on the House floor, confronting Booker T. Washington's call to work within the segregated system. The onslaught of white supremacy in his home state assured White that to campaign for the third term would be fruitless, and he departed the chamber on March 3rd, 1901. It would be 28 years before another quote-unquote black representative set foot in the Capitol. This, Mr. Chairman, is perhaps the Negro's temporary farewell to the American Congress. White declared in his final months as a representative, but let me say, Phoenix, like he will rise up someday and come again. That person, Prophet Noble Ali, and the Moors put into office was Oscar the Priest. You follow me? And this is what the prophet is talking about. And hold up. Is this it? Right here. He said the leave would be only temporary, and now comes the time that he will return in the person of Oscar the Priest. Oscar the Priest went to Congress that year by the Moors. Let's see what I got here. So, let me just show you some of the things that people don't realize in the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Moorish Science Temple of America was so active and so part of the fabric of the community. This says tickets on sales at the home of the Moorish Temple. Many benefits. On the 28th of September, practically all railroads of Chicago have reduced rates to many of the principal cities of the South. This has been brought about by the activity of Mr. Claude D. Green, secretary of the original Chicago's Booster Club. Now, Claude Green definitely was a sellout. But do you know that they were selling train tickets in the Moorish Science Temple of America? We was a part of every fabric of the community. So while people are talking all of this, how you proclaim your nationality, listen, first of all, you proclaim your nationality by being a part of an organization that understand how to proclaim nationality. You proclaim your nationality by being it. You proclaim your nationality by living it. You proclaim your nationality by organizing people around the principle of nationality and executing the plan for the greater good of everyone, even if they don't know what that plan is all about. Nationality is about participation. Nationality is about organize your community around the efforts to better your situation, ultimately bettering the situation of the whole. That's nationality. See, somebody from Mexico or Guatemala or south of the border, they don't have to be taught the power of nationality. What they do is they come to a community, they live together, they put stores in the community, their children grow up, their children participate in politics, their children take power of the community by the political process and the economic process, and they keep it moving. You sit back and cry and say, oh, politics is slavery. Oh, citizenship is slavery. Oh, you sit back and talk all that stuff while the Pakistanians, they taking over a part. Yeah. The Indians, they taking over a part. Why do you think you got so many Indians owning Dunkin' Donuts now? Dunkin' Donuts used to be owned by the trailer park people. You know why? Because they understood that somebody didn't want to do this, so they're going to do it for themselves. And now everywhere you go, you see Indians with Dunkin' Donuts franchise. Does that happen in your city? In your city, is it majority of Indian people that own Dunkin' Donuts now? Or is it just here in Baltimore or where I've been traveling around the country? In your city? Because they knew the power of economics. So they took a brand, got into the franchise, and made it their own. Anybody seen the subway? The Indians are taking over the subways too. And I ain't talking about the one that go under the street, because they understand the power of economic power. They understand the power of economics. So now the Indians can take over Subway. They can take over a Dunkin' Donuts. And now when somebody run a campaign, they can have billboards all around the city as they have in Baltimore. Because once they get the political power, they get access to the pen, and the pen, they got access to the bag, and the bag, they got access to bring it back to the people. But we're talking about ain't no power in politics. We're talking ain't no power. No, that's not the end all be all. We got other things we got to do too. We got to prepare for these people who are in control to try to to bring destruction to everything. We got to prepare for that too. You see what I'm saying? We got to prepare for that too. Because at any given moment, they might try to throw the baby out with the bathwater. The prophet told us this is the end of time and fulfilling of the prophecies. So at any time, they might try to throw the baby out with the bathwater. At any moment right now, after this live stream, they could be throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And if they throw the baby out with the bathwater, what you going to do? You know how to grow food? Huh? Our brother in here, they got a seed to shelf class. How to take a seed, plant a seed, put it on your shelf for preservation. How many people going to join? Because we don't take it serious. But it's the power of nationality. This is how you proclaim your nationality. If this was all go down at any given moment, what is your plan B? The city's burning. Huh? The city's burning. Martial law is in effect. What is your plan B? How do you drink water? You know they control the water, right? They can cut it off at any moment, right? You know that, right? Huh? This is what nation is all about. How you going to control the water? How you going to drink water? Within 3 months, you're dead. You can't even control your own electricity. So these Moorish leaders, they just playing games. This is for Moorish and religious leaders. In reality, this is a lot of them retirement plan. They have no interest in you being a fully functional nation. They have no interest in giving you a backup plan and giving you a plan B. They have no interest in that. They just playing paperwork games and trying to siphon all that they can from the membership and those who believe in their lie. It's just their retirement plan. They failed at being criminals as it relates to selling dope, stealing, and robbing. So they chose the religious path and now the national path that doesn't have as much risk. That's what it is. And if you believe and you spit all the rhetoric that they're talking, but you haven't seen them to produce their own success of what they're talking, then you are a fool 5 times over. Because if someone has been talking something for 30 years, you should never let them tell you, well, you know, that's how they are. They just against us. They just against us. You ain't started no economic efforts. You haven't started no political efforts. You haven't started no social efforts. You haven't started none of this. But you're starting a lot of phone call meetings. You do a lot of Zoom meetings. It's just their retirement plan. They working you. Well, let me get out of here, family. I've been here long enough. I hope that everyone will share this and let everybody know that we have been live, and let everybody know that this is the true Moorish Science Temple of America. We are the Moorish Science Temple of America because we exemplify the unadulterated teachings of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. If the prophet didn't do it, we won't do it. And I accept all challenges. I accept all challenges from a legal standpoint. I accept all challenges from a cultural standpoint. I accept all challenge from a theological standpoint. I accept it all. I ain't got no problem with it. Let me get this. Somebody hit the link. Peace, my brother. Peace, my brother. Are you there? Hey, hold up. I can't hear you, brother. Good. Hold up. You got to unmute yourself. Oh, my goodness. What are you looking like?
Islam, people.
What's going on, man?
I'm calling from so-called Puerto Rico.
Islam, what's happening? Why you got that on your eye?
Fighting cancer naturally.
Okay. All right. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of questions because I've been involved too long on this. I've been over 30 years in the movement. You know, from back tax rebate, round table, and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
right?
But that has nothing to do with the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, though.
No, understand. I was active in the temple. What's the name of your temple, anyway?
The Moorish Science Temple of America, the same name that the Prophet had of the temple.
Let me ask you something. Another grand chief, they want to establish a temple for dues and selling nationality card.
Right.
Where all that money goes?
Well, you would have to ask those that do that. I don't do that. I don't know. I can't speak to
I don't
other
know. What you do? How many members do you have?
What do you mean? Wait, oh, you talking about in our organization?
Yes.
Oh, our organization go to building economics, go to building this building that I'm in, go to building a land that we have. What do you mean? That's where it goes. But you would have to be a member to be privy of all that. In this building that I'm in right now is partially dues, partially hard work. You know what I mean? And partially those who actually give, who's not even a part of the Moorish Science Temple of America. It goes towards the people.
Let's say, for example, right now I have a condition of cancer. But I like to join your organization, and I don't have the money for dues. You still honor me to be a member of your organization?
Well, first of all, First of all, what you have to understand is that there's a process to becoming a member of the organization called the Moorish Science Temple of America. But the Prophet Noble Drew Ali law says that members must pay dues. But there's a caveat to that. It says if a member is working, his monthly dues must be paid. So we have members that don't pay dues because they're not able. So to your question, not necessarily you, I wouldn't say that you can become a member right here through this medium. But what I'm saying is that dues are not a prerequisite of being a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
So you have it. If you had like $5, $10, you could still donate. It's still valid.
No, what I'm saying is dues paying is not a prerequisite of being a member of the Moorish Science Temple of America, because everyone is not capable of paying dues.
You know, I'm one of them right now.
So yeah, that's not a prerequisite. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. So anyway, what state are you in? What state?
I'm in. Hold up 1 second. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can't be on camera like that, but I'm in Baltimore.
That's why I want people to see me because, you know, pretty soon I'm doing a little platform bilingual, dealing with the science of law, legal.
I don't mean no harm. I gotta let brother go real quick. Bro ain't in the right condition, brother. I apologize, Moreno Bay, but I really don't want to plaster that on social media. I think they've seen enough. And, you know, I just think we need to present ourselves a little better. So, you know, with that being said, I've been here. I'll see you next time, my family. And I'll see you next time, Moreno Bay. I just didn't feel comfortable with that imagery at this time. So, brother, come a little bit better. Come a little bit more presentable. I don't know what to say. Anybody got anything to say about that? I don't know what to say. But with that being said, peace and love, family. Hope y'all share this. Man, that blew me away. Ain't nobody saying nothing. Hannibal Bay, nobody? Huh? Anyway. So, hope I answered all the questions. Let me see if I had any more. See if I had any more questions. I think I had one more question, actually. Oh, he said, some will use white demonstration saying your status has to be. Nah, man. Ain't no such thing as using white to become and changing your status. Sean, I don't know what that was, man. I don't know what that was, man. I ain't know how to deal with that. I really didn't, man. But the brother said using white. You don't use no white as no status, man. A white is not a nationality. White as much as a nationality is black. So you don't use no white in any official documentation. That's a lie too. And anybody tell you that, I challenge them on it. With that being said, with over 30,000 Moors who subscribed to the Moorish Science Temple of America during the time of the Prophet, you can't find one filing any paperwork to change anything. You can't find one walking through some flags, and you can't find one doing all of these hoops that these fake leaders tell us to do. Follow the Prophet Noble Drew Ali is the best I can tell you. And that's what we do. And you can reach us at joinnoble.temples@gmail.com. Period. Point blank. And let's put in some work. Peace and love.